You want to move out, you don't have any help, and you got to do it all on your own.
Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Philip.
And we teach you what you need to know about being a grown-up.
Because adulting shouldn't suck. If you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to click on the bell so you can get the notifications when we put out some new videos. And the comments below, let us know how you plan on moving out.
In this video, we're going to talk about how much money you need to have saved up before you move out, how to find a place to live, how to build your credit so you can qualify for an apartment, and then how much money you need to make in order to actually get approved for an apartment. When I first moved out of my parents' house, I had no idea what I was doing.
Nope.
I didn't know anything about credit. I didn't have a budget. I dipped into my savings every single month to cover my bills. I figured it out eventually, but I learned a lot of hard life lessons along the way.
Now, before we get started on how to move out with no help, we wanted to tell you that we've created plenty of resources and videos on our channel to help you guys with the move out process. One of our best and most popular, 12 steps to moving out of your parents' house. It's a video that comes with a free downloadable checklist that you guys can check out. The link's going to be in the description below, so make sure you go and watch that and download that checklist. No matter what age you're trying to move out, you're gonna need to save up a good chunk of money. There's a lot of expenses you need to pay for when you're first moving out, like first and last month's rent, rental application fees, security deposits. You have to pay money to get those accounts like power and garbage and all that other stuff in your name if it's not included in the place that you're moving into. And sometimes the landlords are even going to want to see your checking and saving account balance just to know that you're not fluffing up any numbers when you're telling them how much money you actually have.
If you're not going to have any help from parents or anybody else, then you absolutely have to have an emergency fund when you move out on your own, because life is going to kick you in the teeth. And if you have nobody else to depend on, you have to be able to do it and weather that storm all on your own. We've got a great emergency fund video. Should be in a little card up top or a link in the description. Check it out. It'll tell you all about how to fund it, what it is, and why you need it. Rent is super expensive everywhere right now. And if you're going to be able to afford it on your own without anybody else's help, that means you probably need to have some roommates, at least 2 or 3, in order to make it affordable. So let's say that you get an apartment that, I don't know, it's like $2,000 a month. That means each of you are going to be responsible for $666 a month, or however you decide to split that up, based on the room size or whatever. So if you're saving up in order to move out of your parents' house, then you're going to have to save up for first and last month's rent, because everybody's going to charge that for the most part when you're moving into an apartment. So if your rent is roughly, your portion is going to be $666 a month, then you would double that for first and last month's rent. So you would have to save up a little more than $1,300 to cover your portion of first and last month's rent if you have roommates. Now you're also going to have to save up for a deposit. And a deposit is if you break anything in the apartment when you move out, the landlord's going to use that to fix it. So usually a deposit is the equivalent of 1 month's worth of rent. So let's say that's another $2,000 that you guys have to split in 3. That's another $666 on top of the $1,300-ish. So in order to move out, your portion of first and last month's rent plus a deposit on a $2,000 apartment would be roughly $2,000.
If you have roommates.
Right.
If you ain't got roommates, you're eating all of that on your own.
That's a lot more expensive.
Yeah, that's like $6,000. If it's, well, obviously if you're renting out on your own, you're not going to have a 3-bedroom apartment, so your rent hopefully will be cheaper.
Fair enough. Yeah,
but
good point.
If it's $2,000 and it's all alone in 1 bedroom, whew,
you got to eat that whole cost.
Yeah, a lot of money. You can go to websites like apartments.com, Zillow.com, rentcafe.com, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, all these different places to find places to live or rent in your city or wherever it is you're wanting to go rent from. If you're smart, you would start saving up for your emergency fund too while you're still living at home, because your emergency fund needs to be at least 3 months worth of bills and rent saved up. I mean, at the very minimum, you're going to want to do at least 1 month, because you're going to need the emergency fund. It's so important. You're not going to be able to save up a lot of money or any money at all once you're moved out and you have all of these new responsibilities, financial responsibilities that you're going to have to pay for every month. So get your emergency fund started before you move out.
Okay, so Philip was talking about the emergency fund and how you should have at least a minimum of 1 month's worth of bills saved up before you move out. Now, that's rent and bills. So based on a $2,000 apartment scenario that I just gave, you're going to want to have a minimum for your emergency fund, $2,000 saved up in order to cover anything that comes up as far as, unexpected scenarios, whether you break an arm or you have to go to the hospital or your engine blows in your car, whatever. So your emergency fund, it's going to be like $2,000. Okay. Now, your first and last month's rent plus your deposit, that's like another $2,000. All right. So you got $2,000, and then you got to furnish your apartment most likely. And there's all kinds of random stuff that you got to usually buy, whether it's shower curtains or pots and pans or whatever, and it'll nickel and dime you to death. You'll be shocked at how much you have to spend on that. So let's just say another $1,000 to save up to furnish your apartment, right? So $2,000 for emergency fund, $2,000 for your last month's rent plus a deposit, and $1,000 to furnish your apartment. You're looking at probably somewhere around $5,000 in order to move out on your own, based on a $2,000 apartment with 2 more roommates.
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but some places require you to make 3 times the amount of rent in order to qualify for an apartment. So if you're doing it with roommates or you're doing it individually, that's a lot of money. But when you guys are applying for these places, you're going to want to ask, like, up front, can you make this money independently? Like, each person, if you have roommates, has to make 3 times the amount of rent? Or can all 3 of us combined make 3 times the amount of rent to qualify for the apartment? Because you don't want to waste your money and turn in a rental application if they're going to require each one of you guys independently to make 3 times the amount of rent. Because they're like, well, what if one of you guys move out? Then we need to make sure that you guys can still afford this apartment rent. So make sure you ask up front which one they're going to require you to do, so you just know what you're getting yourself into.
There's not a lot of 18-year-olds or 20-year-olds that I know that if they're going to get a $2,000 apartment, each one of them make $6,000 a month or more.
If so, you guys should probably be living in a real nice-ass apartment. You know?
You guys are killing it.
Yeah.
So now, let's talk about credit. If you're under 18 and you're thinking about moving out, the only way for you to build credit is being an authorized user on somebody else's credit card, like a parent. But since the whole point of this video is how to do it without anybody else's help, how to move out with no help, and that means you can't build any credit when you're under 18. So the only thing you should be focused on right now is stacking cash, saving up money for all those expenses that we just talked about. Now, if you're over 18, the first thing I would do, if I was 18, I would go get a secured credit card. And if you don't know what those are, we have a great playlist about how to build your credit, and specifically how to build credit using a secured credit card. We threw a link for that in the description below.
With that link in the description, it's also going to have our program to build your credit on autopilot. The videos in the credit building playlist are going to talk all about it, but it's great if you're just getting started and trying to build your credit. So 100% make sure you check that out.
It's a free download.
Free. R-E-E with an F. Makes it free.
R-E-E with an F?
I'd also recommend a credit builder loan. Credit builder loans are great if you're just trying to build your credit. They're going to come from credit unions typically, and they're going to give you like $2,500 or however much money. And they're going to put this money into a bank account for you. And you're going to make monthly payments on that amount of money until you pay it off. And then when you pay it off, you're going to get all that money back minus interest, and you're going to be able to use it for stuff. You're going to build credit off of making those monthly payments on time. If you do this for about a year and you have a secured credit card at the same time, by the time you're done paying that loan off, your credit score should be over 700, which is great. You should be able to apply for an apartment and not have a cosigner and get approved all over the place because you got a great credit score.
Another great perk to having one of these credit builder loans is all that money you saved up can be used to move out or for whatever, buy a car or who knows what you want to do with it. But it is a great way to save up for moving out and building credit at the same time.
It could even be used for your emergency fund. You're welcome. Your future self will thank you.
Part of moving out is being able to afford it. It's going to cost a lot of money to move out. It costs a lot of money every single month, and you have to be able to afford it. And working at some crappy dead-end job forever is not the way to do it. So if you're under 18, we highly, highly recommend checking out to see if your school or your school district offers any kind of skilled trade programs. And a lot of those programs have a huge variety of things you can choose from like decent mechanics to culinary arts to cosmetology and a huge array of other things that might interest you. So check those out. Learn skilled trades because you're going to make a lot more money actually having a valuable skill than just working at some mindless dead-end job.
If you've seen some of our other videos on this channel, you probably know that we push trades over college for most people. Being able to get out there and get some real skills that you can use out in the workforce right away without having to get all that life-crushing, soul-sucking student loan debt from going to a university is going to help you out as a young adult. We have playlists on trade jobs. We have what a trade school is and all that other stuff. We got the link in the description below. So if you have any kind of questions about trades, go check those out. Leave us some comments in the descriptions, or excuse me, in the videos, and then we'll answer those questions for you as best as we can. It's important to understand that investing into yourself and your skills will make your life infinitely easier in the long run.
The whole reason why we're adding this part in the video is because moving out is part of adulting, but finding a good job that pays well is another huge part of adulting because struggling to pay your bills every month sucks. So that's why we bring up these skilled trades, because earning more money is going to make it easier to live on your own.
Adulting sucks if you just work a dead-end minimum wage job and you don't take the time to learn any skills and you just magically expect life to get better. Adulting doesn't suck when you have a plan, you put in some effort to make your life better, and you actually follow your plan with your goals. Just as we had mentioned before, we have that video, 12 steps to moving out of your parents' house. The link is in the description, and it comes with a free downloadable checklist. So check that out if you guys are trying to move out anytime soon. It's great, and it's going to help you guys get out successfully without having to move back into your parents' house. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. And in the comments below, let us know which part of this video you found most helpful.
And we'll see you in the next video.
Fa la 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 la.